Welcome back to another exciting episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
Your voice is so charming.
Yeah?
Yeah, just thinking about it. Closing my eyes and such a charming voice.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm Bryce Runge. Welcome.
Well, I have been told for many, many years that I truly do have a face for radio.
A face or a voice?
No face.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
One of these days we'll be up on YouTube, and once we figure out the technical part of that.
Yeah, if we have any listeners who are like experienced in YouTube and connecting and like your podcast, I don't know, doing all that stuff, give us a shout out. Give them your email. What's your email?
What's your email?
Well, I don't want to give them my email.
Oh, but you'll give up my email?
Yeah, mine is overcoming the obstacles at gmail.com. Give me a shout. Reach out to me. Let me know how we could get this situated, because we want to take our podcast to YouTube. There's a large audience who watches podcasts, and we want to be able to reach those people. And a shout out to Chief Vessels, who had suggested that we do that because he's one who watches podcasts. And so so we're taking feedback, but we just haven't really got into that yet. But we want to, and we're new, and we still are kind of learning.
Yeah, pretty much. That is true. We are learning. We're learning all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, because if you're not learning, you're stagnating. And I was wondering. I see these. I saw a post, and I've seen it multiple times on Facebook, where, friend from 20 years ago, a childhood friend, a high school friend, a middle school friend, and then they'll say, well, I'm waiting. Like, people don't have friends from, that they still connect with that go way, way back. Mm-hmm. So, do you have friends that go way, way back? I mean, your friend that you have had the longest, I mean, how far back can you go?
I think kindergarten or preschool.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk much. We'll text every blue moon. Mm-hmm. Which, in hindsight, it's kind of like we were very close. And I mean, he got married and then had kids, and then, I moved and.
You got married and then remarried.
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
Reading like a Catholic rabbit over there.
Goodness. But yeah, he's Bob. He's been a childhood friend, and like I said, we'll still stay in contact. Yeah, every once in a while.
Gotcha. You remember my re-wedding day?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember the other guy that stood up there with you next to me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was Steve.
Steve, yep.
And Steve and his brother Chris and we go back to kindergarten.
Wow.
And we, there was a period where, late high school through, maybe the next 10, 12 years, we didn't see or talk to each other. But now we see each other all the time. We talk all the time. Mm-hmm. Went on vacation down to their house in Florida here. Well, Steve's house here, a few months ago. And, I keep thinking about, friends. And my closest friend growing up, his name is John. He lives in Atlanta. I don't know if he listens, but, he and I go back to early elementary. And he lived down the street, and we did everything together. And then my best friend, my other best friend growing up, his name is Tom. And him and now his wife, I mean, we were inseparable in high school. Oh. And I mean, we're still there. When he got married, I was his best man. When I got married, he was my best man. Mm. And I mean, we've just maintained, these friendships, and to the point that I'm going, well, doesn't everybody?
Mm. No.
And so I thought that was kind of interesting that, well, how is it that people don't have friendships that go way, way back? And then I got thinking, well, okay, I have people, friends that I've worked with that we were good pals as long as we were working together. Mm-hmm. But, I moved off or they moved off, and suddenly we don't talk hardly at all. And so that got me wondering about, well, what is involved in having these friendships that, stand the test of times despite, changes that, you go through in life as you get older and, these, different distractions and stuff. And I happened to run across an article in Psychology Today. And this PhD guy by the name of Ronald, I don't even know how to say his last name. Anyway, he had this article that he posted there, and it was titled 5 Steps to a Lifelong Relationship. And I was reading through them, and I thought, well, okay, we kind of do those things. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why you and I can go and say, well, yeah, we have friends that we met when we were 4 or 5 years old, and here we are 40, 50 years later, and we're still friends. We still talk mm-hmm. a lot. We see each other when we can, and it makes me glad because I think about different individuals I know, and they go, well, yeah, I don't have any friends from those days.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that I'm more on that side. I'm one of those guys. Like I said, my friend Bob, and like we'll text or message through whatever platform, right? Every once in a while.
Yeah.
where we're very close since preschool or kindergarten or whatever, and then that kind of went away. Now Brian, CEO of the insurance company we had on. We connected. I'm not sure at what point in high school, but we have been friends and we talk. We've stayed connected. We both have been through quite a bit, and I will reach out to him, sometimes and be like, "Hey, man, I'm hey, I'm going through something or whatever," or just how you doing? How's the business or whatever. And here lately, we've had him on our podcast, and mm-hmm. We're talking about setting up something, an event to where I'll come and speak to his company, which will be fun. But I think and maybe you're going to talk about this, but you have to be intentional. You have to make time to invest and pour into those relationships. Now, for me, I could tell you for certain that there were a lot of people who I align with that led me down dark paths.
Okay.
And then I shouldn't have been aligned with them. Right. And so, I think it's true. Like I don't know what he says, but I'm kind of figuring it out how to have healthy relationships, okay. friendships or whatever. But, even neuroscientists have even gone to great lengths in studies to prove that healthy relationships lead to happiness.
Okay.
Right. Contrary to that, if you're not intentional about that who you surround yourself with, you're likely to live, full of dysfunction and distress with who you surround yourself with.
Okay.
I maybe gone off on a different tangent, but I guess no. I don't have that. I have 10 guys that I'm totally tight with since middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that. And I only have a handful of close friends now. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people, right? But anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hijack your...
No. It's you didn't. And you provide I'm glad you said that. The people that we maintain these friendships with from, going back to, our childhood, they're able to have those friendships because they brought out something positive, something good. Mm-hmm. And you have good, positive memories of things you used to do. Yeah. When you met Steve, his brother Chris was at the wedding too. But I used to, and we laugh about this, walk to kindergarten. Okay, and it was a couple miles from the house to the school, and again, and then it was to walk home. And it was, I did morning kindergarten. This was long before they did all day kindergarten.
Oh yeah.
So I would walk to school with the girl that lived across the street, and I can't even. Last name was Freed. Couldn't tell you what her first name was. Anyway, so we were to walk to school together and walk home to school together. Well, my friend Chris, we were in kindergarten together, and he would say, "Oh, well, come to my house." Well, his parents and my parents were good friends, and so okay, so I would follow him home, and we'd play, and then I wouldn't show up at home, or okay, his mom would say, "Well, hey, we're gonna have lunch. Do you probably ought to head home?" And so I would head home. And then I get into trouble. Well, why are you an hour late?
Oh, gosh.
Because mom and dad, we're talking the mid-70s. So phones and all that.
No way to communicate with.
No. And I would get into trouble. Well, it kept happening again and again and again. And so Chris and I, we laugh about that now. But even though they moved different times in different cities, they'd always come to town, or we'd go to their house, and we would have all kinds of wild and fun adventures, all the way through high school. But here we are today, and we can still laugh and talk, and we have new adventures. My friend Tom, we went to, like I said, we went to high school together, and we did all the crazy, stupid stuff you do in high school. And, our adventures after high school. And when we get together, we talk about, maybe it's reminiscing, or maybe it's just living in the past. Yeah. But we do. We talk about the old days, and we talk about, oh, do you remember this? And, oh, do you remember that? And, hey, have you talked to this person? Do you see that person? And
yeah,
a lot of times the answer is no, but it's kind of like, I start wondering, okay, what are we doing that makes these friendships last? The stand the test of times, I think is the right quote. But one of the things that the article pointed out in these 5 different tips is to have regular communication, and that's something that we do. Mm-hmm. We talk, every few weeks. We text all the time. That's one of the joys of texting is, and we'll text jokes. We'll text each other different funny little memes or stuff like that. But with my friends that, go way back, and there aren't that many, there's only a few of them, but we talk, we communicate all the time. And when I go back to Kansas, I try and make a point to see them. Mm-hmm. And they came down a couple years ago. Tom and his wife Cindy and their kids came down between Christmas and New Year's, and we just had so much fun. Yeah, and we created new memories. Like I said, we went to go see Steve down in Florida and had a blast down in Florida. In fact, I've told him, I said, you can expect us to come visit more often. Love Florida. But you for friendships, you and I, we became good pals when we worked together. Mm-hmm. But you moved off to another school, and I've had friends that I've worked with that we were really close when we worked together, but you stop working together and suddenly you're not friends anymore.
Right.
But yet, how are you and I, even though we are in different schools and we don't see each other, what do? We talk.
I tried to hide.
Yeah, well, you know what they say.
You're absolutely right.
So I think that if you want your friends, if you're okay for today's young people, you have your friends, you like hanging out with them, you like, that they are a positive influence on you, stay friends with them.
Yeah.
Just because you go off to, you start going different directions in life physically.
Right.
Well, again, the joy of modern technology is not like the Pony Express of the old days. You can,
oh my gosh.
you can call, you can text, be friends on Facebook or whatever social media platform, you want to use, but regular communication.
Yeah.
Helps keep those friendships, going.
Alive. Yeah. I think that, just using myself as an example, here, pack up and move 1,400 miles away from the people that I, grew up with and those relationships that were sustained over time. I think when you go through that, it does make it a little more challenging. And then you add, you get married, and then you have more kids. And so it's easy to say, I don't have time because now and rightfully so, my bride should be a priority as she is. And my kids are a priority. And then, there's not much left in the tank to give time to others. And so that's kind of when those other relationships start to fizzle out.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily intentional. It's just there's seasons in life that we get busy. I know that you and I have experienced seasons where we didn't talk that much.
Yeah.
We text or whatever here or there or email. But then as we go into a different chapter, then, now we're doing a podcast. And unfortunately, I see you all the time. But, it's... No.
Thanks. Love you too.
But I think that's... from my own experience, I think that's one of the reasons. There's so much going on here, and it's not that I don't love those guys or those people that I used to do life with. It's just yeah.
And it's okay. One of my earliest friends from elementary school, his name was David, and we were good pals through elementary school. We went to different middle schools, but we still kept up friendships. We wound up going back to high school together, and all the way through high school and those few years after high school when I was going to the local community college, we were going out all the time, and we were spending a lot of time together. But when I moved off to go to college, we started drifting apart, and I kept thinking, every time I drive, I'd come home, I need to stop by and say hi to David. And I'd drive by his house, I'd be headed out of town and I'd drive by his house. Oh, crap. I didn't. Okay, next time. That wound up biting me in the butt because he died 11 years ago.
Oh, no.
And I never reconnected with him. And I feel a little bit of remorse. But if you want these friendships to continue, you do need to invest a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. Again, a simple text message, hey, what's up, man?
Right.
Can be just as beneficial as, a 30-minute conversation.
Right.
And so, So again, if you have friends that you like being around, and they are, as you mentioned, a positive influence, don't take you down the dark path too far too often, then, and again, as you get older, you're right, your priorities change. But if, it's okay to still, say hi to them.
Yeah.
Because again, these lifelong friendships can be very rewarding. Especially as as I have reached, I guess, what you would call middle age. You look back and you go, okay, I really am grateful. But one of the next thing that this guy says is to, when you do get together, have some kind of rewarding interaction.
Okay.
And so, like, when you go back home to California and you meet up with these folks, you do stuff together?
Yeah. Do we?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Oh. Well, no. And you just mentioned that a little while ago. While maybe there was some motivation, or intent to when I got there, I would go visit with them.
Mm-hmm.
But same thing you mentioned, like I'd be out there and there would be other excuses like, no, it's later. I don't want to drive over there, or it's like fill in the blank on the excuse to why not. But and then I'll come home like, man, next time. So it's kind of that resonates with me, but I don't. I don't connect with them when I'm out there, which is, sad, I guess.
No, it's
because I should. There shouldn't be any reasons. Like, we've done life together. There's nothing wrong with, them. And I know that they're busy. But, maybe a cup of coffee or something, or you go do something, right?
Sure. Well, I remember my dad. I don't even know where the heck we were, but he had, we went somewhere and he met an old Army buddy for coffee. And he brought me along, and I was bored to tears sitting there really? Listening to these two old guys talk about the old days when they were in the Army together, as well as, what they're doing, their work, their life, whatever. But now I look back and I go, okay, they had a rewarding interaction. That when they got together, when I go see my friend Tom and his wife Cindy and their kids in Kansas, we go back. I think when we were there, 4th of July, they have a really huge 4th of July party. And they've been doing that for close to 30 years. And so it's kind of fun. We go back and, we create new memories to go with the old memories.
Yeah.
As I told you, just moments ago, when Sherry and I went down to go see Steve and his wife and their little girl in Florida, we built new memories. We went to the beach and watched him kind of get sucked out by the undertow, and we both were trying to struggle to keep upright, and we got some good photos of that. So, but again, a rewarding interaction, and so it doesn't have to be a whole lot, but with these friendships, if they mean something to you, well, again, you don't have to do a lot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of nice to develop, keep these friendships going.
Right.
Because life, I truly do believe, is better when you got more people to do it with.
I agree.
And
I agree.
And I love being able to, maybe it's the historian in me, but I love being able to tie my old life in with my new life.
Sure.
Because I'm really positive that my 18-year-old self no longer exists. And that's probably for the better, because, but alas. Yeah. It's nice having those connections, and you can go, oh my gosh, do you remember when?
Oh, yeah.
And because, I can tell Sherry about it, but it means very little to her. Because our history with each other goes back about 11 years. Mm-hmm. But with Tom and I, it goes back, 35 years. Right. With Steve, it goes back, 45, 48 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to be able to do that.
Well, and it's fun when you do get to sit down with them. It's like, I have a cousin, my cousin Aaron in Illinois. There were a couple seasons where we would text or call, pretty consistently, and then it just kind of went away. Again, I've gotten real busy. Quote, I forgot where I was going with that. So like we would. Sorry, we.
Senior moment.
Yeah, definitely. When we would sit down and chat, or we get on the phone, it's like we never skipped a beat. Like it's you could sit down and you share those old stories with the people that have been in your life for forever, right? Those are fun stories. And then like Suzanne will get a kick out of hearing about oh, let's hear about my husband. Yeah, so those are fun times. But it's like with Brian or Bob, when we do connect, we'll bring stuff up, and it's just it's just fun times, and obviously we'll catch up on some things. But anyways.
No, I think that's it. It is. It's those trips down memory lane,
Sure.
Not to relive the old days, because God Almighty, I do not want to do that. And praise the dear Lord, there were no cell phones back in the days when we were young. Because let's just say, sometimes it's fun to retell those stories because they are embellished quite a bit.
Oh my gosh!
But they're of our design, and there's no photographic evidence. We can just simply say, "Oh, they were just a story."
Yeah, it's not true, and you have no evidence to prove it.
Exactly,
because it's not on YouTube.
No, it's not. But it is kind of fun, and one of the other things that they talk about in helping maintain these lifelong friendships is to not just talk about the old days, but talk about the present. Hey. So tell me, how's the wife? How's the kids? How's the career? Inquire about their life, their current life, and that way, you're showing interest, and your relationship isn't just based on what you did when you were, a snot-nosed kid and didn't know better. It's also as an adult, and so that friendship has new areas to explore and build upon, so that way it doesn't run its course.
Yeah.
And I mean, just yesterday I was I think it was yesterday. I was texting my friend Tom, and we were discussing, just hey, what's up? How's things with the kids, and just touching base.
Yeah.
Showing that you are interested, and he'll do the same thing. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And
what's up?
Exactly. And so it's kind of fun. And, my friend Steve down in Florida, his wife posts a lot of pictures of their little girl on Facebook. She's in kindergarten now and just as cute as a bug. And so I'll call him or I'll text him. I'll say, hey, saw that, this post or that post, and that kind of stuff. And it's really neat.
Well, and I enjoy social media for that reason, because there's a handful of people that I went to school with and I'm connected on those platforms, Bob and Brian and it's fun to see those, and I think that gives us a way to gives us a glimpse into what's going on in their life. But that's as far as it goes. A lot of the Facebook friends.
Yes.
Right? But that's surface level.
Yes.
And so, we were just sitting here a little bit ago. I wasn't ignoring you or being rude on my phone. You really inspired me. I text Bob. And I told her, I said, look, I was thinking about the stuff that we used to do.
Yeah.
And we were so tight. We were so close. And I get it. I get the journey that we've been on and the seasons that we've been through, and I get that. I just told him flat out, hey, we're doing a podcast on lifelong relationships. I miss you. Hope you and your family are doing better than good, right? So
yeah,
just a text, and I know he'll text me back at some point.
Yeah,
but it took me down that memory lane, if you will, right?
And that's kind of the point. I think that when I saw this, it resonated with me that I never thought about why my friendships with, some people have been maintained strong. I graduated high school, 35 years ago.
Yeah.
This year, 35 years ago this year, I was a high school senior.
You were embarking on who knows what you were doing. Anyways.
Well, I was a good kid. I towed the line straight and narrow.
I'm sitting here talking, and I'm like, with this voice, who the heck do you think you're talking to like that? Let's open up your past.
Yeah, well, as Pumbaa says, put your past behind you. Lion King reference. But, It is because sometimes that door needs to stay closed in certain formats. But again, I look at, okay, I have these lifelong friends, but then I look at Sherry, and Sherry doesn't have too many lifelong friends.
No,
she has one really good friend from high school. He's from Kansas too.
Oh, wow.
And I got to meet him. His name is Wade. He's a freaking awesome guy.
Do you know each other?
Yeah.
No, I meant like before.
Oh, no, but what's funny,
That would've been funny
is that his brother works with my friend Tom at the same warehouse.
No way.
Yeah, Tom works in a warehouse, and Wade's brother's a driver, and they know each other.
Wow.
And so,
what a small world.
Yeah, well, Kansas doesn't have that many people, but anyway, we tease. But I got to meet him, and he's really totally freaking cool. We hit it off, and we chatted once in a while because he would call her, she would call him, because again, you go way back, they predate. Their friendship predates her and I, predates her and her ex-husband. And so, not in a romantic way, but just in a friendship way. And so it's kind of fun, but he's really the only one that goes very far back. And I go, well, what about these other people? And, so I'm grateful that I have a variety of friends that are, like you and I, we go back at least 10 years. But then I've got other people that go back even further, like you've got, with Bob and Brian, and it makes me, in some ways, I feel a little sad for some of the other people that I really enjoyed, hanging out with, but we were work friends. And it's kind of like, I didn't realize we were just work friends, because when they moved away or I moved away to different jobs, well, then that friendship kind of disappeared.
Yeah. Well, and, you say that, and the reality is, some people are meant to be in your life for just a season.
Okay.
They really are. And I've learned that. And maybe then some people aren't supposed to be in your life, but you want to hang out with them anyways. But I've learned that maybe some people are just in your life for a season.
Oh, that could be.
And so.
And maybe that's where those that are supposed to be there, these 5 tips are natural. Because when I was looking through these and, preparation for today, I go, well, I do that and we do that. And, and it's reciprocated on both sides of this, that we are doing this without consciously going, oh. But the ones that, to use your quote, was in one season of life, well, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine that we worked together pre-divorce, well, we kind of, when I stopped working at Wiley East, we stopped being friends. We kind of were, but we drifted far apart. And now that we're working together, we're still friends, but we're not to that level that we were.
Got it.
And so, because we'd hang out after school and stuff like that before, but now we don't.
Yeah. And
so, you're right. Maybe it was just a season, and therefore, it was, I don't know. In some ways, I guess I'm a little too nostalgic.
Got it.
And I'm going, well, why can't it be this way all the time?
Right.
But maybe you're right. I don't know. It's that's an interesting perspective I had not considered.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought it up.
Oh, happy to provide that kind of insight.
Well, good. Again, sorry. Mr. Sarcasm almost came back to play. Anyway, one of the other things, I want to wrap this up, but one of the other topic or things they talked about is when you are talking to these old friends, don't always talk negative things or bad things. Try and, talk about good things and positive things, so that when they see it's you calling, well, they're happy to take your phone call.
Right.
I mean, if you are just constantly whining and complaining and you're using them as your therapist, well, that may not be the way.
That could get old real quick.
Absolutely. And so that's why when I call you, I don't, I try and be positive more often than not.
That's why I screen my calls. No, I'm just kidding. I have someone, I'm not going to mention names or anything, but I have someone, it's very unfortunate that I don't want to answer the call.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to respond to text messages. I don't want to call anymore. And that's really sad because of who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get on the phone and listen to the toxicity,
Yeah.
the negativity that keeps repeating myself. Someone who's living in the past, and we've talked about that in a past episode.
Mm-hmm.
But just completely stuck in park, and I don't want to talk. I just, and that's a bad place for me to be, given the title of this individual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. But anyways, so to what you were saying, like, it rings true, because if you're that person,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to answer the phone, because
Sure.
I know what to expect. And I don't want that intruding on my environment.
Mm-hmm. Because now you're following down that path with them, and so then as a consequence, that makes it hard for that friendship to be maintained at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're that dark cloud, well, then
and it's okay. I think when I call you, in times of need or some insight, that's it. I'm good. I get it. You set me straight, and then we typically end on something positive,
and we have a lot of other positive interactions in between those,
and that's totally acceptable. But I could go on and on about that. But yes, to what you said, don't be the negative Nelly.
Mm-hmm.
Just, if you have an issue, I guess discuss it, find some solutions, and then move on. But anyways,
no, I hear you. It is kind of interesting how we feel about these friends.
Yeah.
And I guess the final thing is, when you reach out to that person, having months go by or years go by, if they don't respond, try again. Be a little persistent.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, you can say, well, if they don't respond, well, then that's kind of on them.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, I look back and I think of different folks that I've known in my past that come across my radar again. And I'll send them, a lot of times it'll be a friend request on Facebook, and it'll start from there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it goes and how it grows.
Mm-hmm.
But be persistent. If the first time fails, well, wait a little while, try again.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at some point, if they never reciprocate, that's fine, but don't give up on that friendship. Just because you haven't talked for a long time doesn't mean that they don't want to talk to you.
Right.
When my friend from that we taught together, when he got a job, now teaching with us, one of the first things he did was he sent me a text and he says, "Does this number still belong to Rod McCall?"
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, yeah, does this number still belong to whoever, to my friend? And, we picked right back up.
Yeah.
And now, again, as I said, we aren't to the same level we were in regards to friendship, but it was, again, it's we're still there. Mm-hmm. And, our past helps us have a positive present.
Yeah.
And so
it definitely has the ability to do so.
Just because, again, you haven't talked to them in a long time, well, reach out.
Who are you going to reach out to today?
That's a real good question. I will probably reach out to my friend John, who now lives in Atlanta. He and I were we were like brothers growing up. When I say growing up, elementary school. We really started taking different paths when we got into middle school, and we kind of parted ways because his life was taking him down a path I didn't want to follow.
Got
it. But his life he got straightened out, and he realized the negative impact his life was having based on the decisions he was making. And so he straightened up and flew right, and we still chit-chat over Facebook.
Okay.
And so...
Very cool. Very cool. I guess, I mentioned texting my friend Bob and, just inspiring that. So I'm going to launch this question to our listeners. Who are you going to reach out to?
Sure.
Right. So who are you going to try and connect with? So...
No, I think it's a good question because, again, life is more fun to do when you have more people in it.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. What I've learned on my journey and through various relationships, good and bad, that healthy relationships make life enjoyable, but really obtaining that joy comes by living at a level of choice. We're either, actively trying to find time, quote, or making the time. And relationships that flourish make time.
I think that's what this guy was saying.
Okay.
And I totally 100% agree.
Yeah. So I think it's important, like, you make time, then you have to stress and strain. And sometimes, we're busy. And I get that, but stress and strain for every inch, and make time for each other. If I want those healthy, positive, sustainable relationships, the lifelong, if you will, then I have to invest in them. And we've talked about that before. Investing into our relationships, the quality of our relationships, I think, would determine the quality of our life.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I think we have to reach, beyond the norm and initiate and invest in those relationships. If we want positive, life-changing relationships, we have to invest in them. I think those positive relationships turn into some of the key ingredients that lead to positive outcomes.
So, because again, having someone past to make your present better can make the future more exciting and fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking with Brian the other day, and we were, setting plans for this event in summertime. And, I think all of us are in business, no matter what, about relationships, because that's, I think, what it's about. It's about relationships. And so, like, specifically, like again, all of us, and it's about relationships, and we're talking about how he works with the elderly people. I'm like, man, those are the people that I would like to do life with or have a relationship with, because I think there's so much insight and wisdom. They've been on a journey for so long, right? But again, we talk about relationships, and I think you invest in those relationships. Again, healthy relationships, and those turn into some of the best things.
Yeah. Because even to this day, as we've been sitting here talking about this, I'm reminded of some of the, with these friends and the things that we've done recently as well as in the past. And I can see them in my mind's eye. It brings a lot of smiles and laughter to me. And it also, because of all of that, when you do feel frustrated, when you feel stuck, well, there's somebody you can call and say, hey, Mm-hmm. And, when I do that to each other, and having others that you can pull from makes it easier to get through the dark times as well as the light times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, well, anyway, that was what I wanted to talk about today. So thanks for letting me talk about it.
Oh, of course. You're so welcome. Thank you for sharing. I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important. And, I'm glad that we talked about it because I was able to, text Bob and, I might not have done that today.
Okay.
Or this week or next month. Right?
Okay.
But,
well, good.
So we'll reach out to John.
All right. I'll do that.
Our viewers, reach out to those friends.
Okay.
Listeners, viewers, we're not there yet. We talked about that. We're gonna get there. Someone's gonna email me.
Okay.
Hey, I know how to do that.
All right. Good. Make sure you do, point by point pictures.
Point by point pictures, and any businesses or companies out there that want to start sponsoring us.
Yes.
Did I just plug something?
I think you did. It was a shameless plug, but hey. Anyway, well, on that note, we're going to take our shamelessness and go.
All righty then.
So until next time, I'm Rod.
Until next time, I'm Bryce.
Ciao.
Bye.